Controversies and Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Saha are synonymous. They are synonyms, it appears. While he was the mayor of Kathmandu metropolitan city, he just came under fire for its vitriolic remarks. This time also, he has once again quoted controversy. He does not speak, but when he does, he is sure to just fuel the fire, trigger the fire, it appears. This time, while addressing the parliament, the sovereign parliament recently, he said what he said as just the Nepali people like quite angry. What he said was that not only has India encroached upon Nepali territories, Nepal has also encroached upon Indian territories, Indian land. So this stirred the entire country, and its ripples were felt across the border. Certain sections of the Indian media were quite happy because it had just in a moment dismantled a narrative that India had been constantly encroaching upon, occupying Nepali territories. Through several videos, I myself have been saying that India seems to be following a forward policy vis-a-vis Nepal. This dates back to the times of Jawaharlal Nehru. The idea behind that policy was to just extend the presence of the Indian state along the bordering areas if they are not manned, if there is no like indication of any like presence of a neighboring state in that territory. So the Indian troops could go as far as like there were no human settlements, there was no indication of any neighboring country. That policy seems to have continued till date. We have a very thin security presence along the border. Uh, Human settlements are sparsely populated or these areas are wooded. That means virtually there is no presence at all of the Nepali state, which makes it quite easy for the troops, for the Indian troops to just claim that land. Even when there are settlements, disputes are all too frequent, from Kanchanpur to Saptari to Pasupatinagar to Susta to Kalapani, Lipulek, Limpiadura. They are all there. The official dump, Nepal's, some of the experts point out that this 98% of those uh, disputes have been settled, and the only outstanding disputes are over Susta and the Kalapani Lipulek Limpiadura area. But those who suffer, the people on the ground, those living close to the border, claim that this encroachment, this high handedness on the part of India has been a constant process. It's a never stopping process. It appears what with a very strong presence of Indian security apparatuses and the militant nature of the people living close by. So all along, Nepal had been building this narrative over the decades that India encroaches upon, occupies Nepali territories, trampling on Nepal's territorial integrity and national sovereignty. But what this statement, what this speech from Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Saha to the Parliament of Nepal has done is somewhat undid the narrative. The Indian media apparently is going gaga over this, like Nepal has encroached upon 71,000 hectares, acres of Indian territory. That is one of the headlines, screaming headlines, I think, from Dainik Jagaran. So it has it has undone all the efforts that Nepal had been doing over the years to just reclaim the lost territories, the territories that were supposed to belong to Nepal, based even on the Treaty of Sugauli of 1814, 1816. So what does this narrative, what does this statement from Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Saha does? It serves, it serves Indian interests at the expense of a weaker neighbor, that is Nepal. And the Nepalese, of course, are once again at the receiving end thanks to a self goal, another self goal from Nepal's Prime Minister, this time Balendra Saha. Amid all this, amid a divided house, what has happened? What is happening in Delhi? It is quite interesting to note. The chairman of the Prime Minister's party, Rabi uh, Lamichhane, is on a 5 day long visit to New Delhi. He is meeting whole lot of influential people. He has already met uh, Nitin Nabin of the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. He has met Home Minister Amit Saha, uh, Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar, and he is scheduled to meet India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself. So a royal treatment for Rabi Lamichhane, even as a controversy, an insurmountable controversy, if you will, surrounds Nepal's current Prime Minister Balendra Saha. So what does this indicate? Some media outlets have even begun speculating that his days are numbered. And the prime minister's days are numbered, and you can easily guess as to who is the successor. See, things are getting more and more what we used to call during our like days in one of those publications. Things are getting curiouser and curiouser. Interesting, isn't it? So let's get some glimpses of Rabi Lamichhane's visit to our southern neighbor. These are glimpses of his meeting with Nitin Navin of the Bharatiya Janata Party. He is the chairman of RSP, and this symbolism, these pictures increasingly indicate that the Delhi establishment is getting cozier with the chair of the RSP. So he has written one long article, and interestingly, that article I have never read any article from Rabi Lamichhane. He used to be a very popular show host, but I didn't know that he writes also. This is a revelation to me. So he has a written a long article, and I think it just in a way toes the line of India's ruling BJP. He talks about cross-border linkages, uh, connecting Raxaul with Kathmandu via a very old, ancient, if you will, train technology that is getting more and more obsolete by the day in India as well. They are like just opting for bullet trains and whatnot. We are talking still about broad gauge railways in Nepal. So it will just push Nepal decades back in terms of transport technology. Then he talks about cross-border uh, linking, cross-border pilgrimage sites, and he talks about uh, generating hydropower in Nepal, huge hydropower projects in Nepal that is obviously meant to be reservoir based, and that is meant definitely to augment power, augment waters downstream, benefiting immensely the states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Delhi, and contributing to India's much ambitious river linking project that aims to transfer water from from surplus areas to just water deficit areas. So he seems to be towing that very line of the BJP. So it's interesting to just, it's quite confusing, because these projects, these ambitious projects, uh, that will be carried out in the name of development will inundate further huge swathes of Nepal, and Nepal will lose control, furthermore, control of her rivers instead of catering to her own energy and water needs. India and Nepal will be further pressed to just cater to to the needs of a subcontinent-sized neighbor at the expense of her own core interests. So this is the scenario. One tongue slip. Was it a tongue slip or a deliberate uh, statement? Whatever it may be, it is the words, these are the words coming from the Prime Minister himself. So it may have like huge repercussions for Nepal at a time when this India and China are just preparing to just uh, opt for increased trade, opt for trade and the exchange of visitors, pilgrims to Mansarovar and several other places in India, maybe via that Lipu Lake Pass. Lake means pass in itself in Nepali. So via Lipu Lake, which Nepal has been claiming that it belongs to her. There are records, there are land papers that establish Nepal's territorial control. Nepal, that territory belongs to Nepal. What does this statement from Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Saha is it somewhat waters down Nepal's claims that India has been occupying, it has been encroaching upon huge swathes of Nepal's territories, including in Susta and Kalapani, Lipulek, Limpiadhura region. There are hundreds of disputes, though some of the experts, as I said earlier, point out that 98% of those disputes have been settled. This is not the case. That is what reports coming every day from the bordering areas point out at. These reports typically state that locals backed by security personnel from India, constantly encroach upon Nepali territories. They occupy uh, Nepali territories for farming and other purposes, despite these people, the Nepali communities, having their own land ownership certificates and receipts of payment of land taxes to the government of Nepal. This statement from Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Saha has just exacted a self-rule on Nepal with huge benefits, I think, from to our neighbor, India. The Prime Minister, I don't know who his advisors are, who advises him on on topics like these. What is quite interesting to note is that India itself, such a huge country, 1.5 billion people, and if I am not mistaken, 22 times bigger than Nepal, and with a huge security presence along the border with watchtowers, sentry posts, and whatnot. Uh, India itself has not said that the Nepali side has encroached upon her territories. So this is quite interesting. This is quite difficult to understand as to what prompted Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Saha to make this very controversial statement. What do you think the repercussions of these of statement like this will mean for our bilateral relations? Do you see a silver lining that this this statement from Nepal will prompt Indian leadership also to eat the humble pie and admit that it has also its people living close to the border on the Indian side have also encroached upon occupied Nepali territories. Do you think this will make way for fresh rounds of negotiations that will resolve border issues persisting between Nepal and India for decades? We would like to hear from you. So just drop in your comments. Also subscribe to this channel. Comment on our presentation because we are trying to be your true voice. We are trying to promote citizen journalism that is far from corporate feed and greed. So every support, every like, every subscription counts. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.